One Royal Way, back at it here on Kansas City Sports Network. I'm Joel Penfield. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Make sure to like, rate, subscribe, review on all platforms. Hit those notification bells so you know when these episodes go up. First one in a couple of months here, about a little over a month, I'd say. So glad to be back. We're going to really hit the ground running here at the end of January and then right around the middle of February and Pitchers and Catchers Report, which we're about 4 weeks out from. That's when we're really going to get rolling here, multiple episodes a week, and then all through the baseball season as well. Should have some stuff from Royals Rally coming up here in a couple of weeks. Not everything is finalized, but you guys should see some content like last year from there, and then we'll really get rolling once Pitchers and Catchers Report. I've got some fun stuff planned over the next, over that time leading up to the season. Especially, please, audio listeners, we appreciate you as well. But on the YouTube side, we are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I would like to get there before opening day. We're at around 940 right now. So if you get 60 friends to come over and that are Royals fans, make sure to have them hit that follow button, and we'll go ahead and get to that 1,000 subscriber mark, which I would really appreciate. This show, as always, brought to you by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our partners in Possible here at Kansas City Sports Network. And on this show, we can't thank them enough for their support over the last couple of years and moving forward on this show. So this is going to be a little bit different than episodes I've done in the past. This is not really going to be Royal-centric. This is more just going to be kind of a state of baseball thing. Really spurred by Kyle Tucker, the prize free agent. Basically, him and Bo Bichette were kind of the two big position player names out there for this free agent cycle and this offseason cycle. And the Dodgers did it again. They got the guy. 4 years, $240 million deal, $60 million AAV for the 4-year deal. I think he's got an opt-out after the second year and third year. So essentially it could be a 2-for-120, however he decides to operate. And right before we came on here, actually, Bo Bichette signed with the New York Mets. A 3-year, $126 million deal with opt-outs after years 1 and 2. The reaction to the Kyle Tucker signing, when it looked like it was probably going to be, the Dodgers obviously in the mix, but the Blue Jays were in the mix, the Mets were in the mix, and the Dodgers ended up getting the deal. They signed the biggest free agents over the last 3 years, really starting with Freddie Freeman and then Ohtani, and then like Blake Snell and a couple others. The next year, I think it was like Tanner Scott and a few others, just the Dodgers just loading up. And then with just going and getting Kyle Tucker, it riled up a lot of people, especially fans and obviously following a lot of people that I do, Royals fans, small market fans, just like, God, why even matter? Why does the season even matter? Like the Dodgers are just going to go out and win it again. And other people that kind of see the writing on the wall of this is going to lead to a lockout after the 2026 season, and potentially could mean, with just the way that fight is going to play out, could miss the 2027 season. Some people say that could be a good thing for baseball. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think it's going to be terrible. I think it'll be like 1994 and really set the sport back. It's an inevitable fight. Just going to be the way it goes. I have no idea where I'm going to go with this episode, frankly. This is going to be just kind of stream of consciousness, my thoughts, opinions on this whole thing. Done some research on it. I'm in no way an expert. If I say something that you guys see later and think I'm full of shit, that's fine. Come to my comment section on YouTube or at me on Twitter and we can discuss it. But I have a very kind of nuanced opinion on this. There are people, very much, obviously, people that are fans of big market teams in the Dodgers, basically just like, get your money up, that sort of thing. Like kind of the Johnny Manziel, I got too much money in my hand, I can't hear you. And then there are people on the other side of just like, why even pay attention to the season? And yeah, the Royals are good. I want the Royals to be good, but who cares? The Dodgers are just going to go win it. And I understand both sides of it. I do. And I'll start this with a very controversial opinion. I don't begrudge the Dodgers. I don't. I'm not mad at the Dodgers. People saying that's ruining baseball, yada, yada. Like, I have no ill will toward the Dodgers. They're a great team. They were a great team before they started spending like this, right? Like, They've always had the ability to do it because it's LA. Their ownership group doesn't care about the luxury tax thresholds and any of that. Just nope. Let's just go get the best team we can and go win. And I respect that. They are taking advantage of and maximizing the system that is currently in place. Other teams have decided to not do that. And they spend any other big markets too. Like the Yankees will spend occasionally. They'll go and get, a big name just to kind of keep their hat in the ring. But they don't spend like they used to, especially with George, when they were kind of at the forefront of it in the late 90s when they were winning all those World Series. They did all of that, right? They spent a ton. And they still do, but not to the same degree because the sons of George Steinbrenner don't want to deal with luxury tax stuff. It's their prerogative. But it's also why they haven't won a World Series since 2009 and have only been to one since they won in 2009. The Red Sox operate like a small market team sometimes. I know they just gave a big contract to Ranger Suarez, but that felt odd and desperate, and I don't understand signing him when you really need to go and get a bat. And they've been real penny pinching recently. It wouldn't give Alex Bregman an extra $10 million for him to go back to Boston, but then go and give Ranger Suarez 9 figures. Just they operate it's been very odd. And obviously the Mookie Betts trade is, it still lingers. That could be like the flashpoint moment for all of this, with giving one of the best players in baseball to the Dodgers. They won a World Series and then they just started loading up. And then the Mets are kind of the bizarro world Dodgers, where the Dodgers spend all this money and then they win. Yeah, at least they're doing that, right? The Mets spend all this money to win nothing. They went and they signed Francisco Lindor to a massive contract. They went and gave Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer a whole bunch of money. They gave Juan Soto $700 some odd million. They brought Brandon Nimmo back on a 9-figure deal. They brought Pete Alonso back last year, on a decent deal, and then he hasn't gone to Baltimore. But they spend all this money, and Steve Cohen wants to win so bad, and they're the Mets, and they just don't. They signed Bo Bichette, and on its face, like, hey, Bo Bichette's going to help them. He's going to go play third base, a position he has literally never played in Major League Baseball. Very Mets thing to do. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to bet on the Mets to make the playoffs because it's the Mets. And it's just they are a dysfunctional organization that spends like a functional one. And I know that the conversation has been, it's so inevitable the Dodgers are going to win and all this stuff, yada, yada. If Jeff Hoffman just doesn't give up a home run to Miguel Rojas, I wonder how many of these conversations we're having. Or if the conversations are as strong, I guess is the way to put it. The Dodgers, it took a miracle for them to win that Game 7. And one of the best baseball games I've ever watched. Now, you won that because Yoshinobu, one of the big reasons you won that is because Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who you gave $325 million to, helped you win that game. Shohei. A lot of those guys that they signed, they contributed and they won. The Dodgers are also one of the better player development organizations. They were a great organization when it came to player development and scouting and and research and development. They were at the forefront of all that on top of the money. Right? So they're just a great baseball organization top to bottom. And I know that people don't want to hear that because they're spending all that money, but it's just the facts of just who they are and what they can do. All of that to say, we are staring down the barrel of this being the last baseball season we see until potentially 2028. Because, yes, as I mentioned, they have won and they have taken advantage of a system where there is no salary cap and it's the Wild West and you spend all this money, right? Clearly, there is a disconnect and something needs to change. It's a little different, but it feels kind of like how NIL and college football is working right now. Like, yes, the sport has never been more popular and the ratings are up and there's all of these things and that's all well and good. Does that mean it's healthy for the sport? For all of these big programs to just fire money cannons and for all these big organizations just be able to fire the money cannons at the best players and the rest are kind of left with what's left over. Or either they're choosing not to spend or they don't have the money to go and pay a 50 million AAV guy. Like, it's just it's the haves and have-nots. It's kind of always been that way in baseball, but with the money that's being generated now and the money that's being thrown around, it's just the delta is just wider. And I think that's where we're seeing a lot of this. Because the Royals might be good this year. I believe they're going to be a good team. I believe they're going to be a playoff team. They're spending like the Royals payroll is going to be less than the luxury tax threshold that the Dodgers are going to pay. Dodgers are going to pay $165 million in luxury tax. Royals payroll is going to be around 140. All right, like just again for kind of just perspective, Kyle Tucker is going to make $57 million this year, like signing bonus and all that stuff. The Miami Marlins payroll is $65 million. Like, there is clearly issues. It does not necessarily mean we have to blow the whole thing up, because I think there's a lot more nuance to it than just the cut and dry we need a salary cap. Like, I think that's going to inevitably happen. There's going to be some sort of cap. There's going to be some sort of maybe NBA first apron, second apron concept. I don't know how it's going to play out. It's going to get ugly. Players aren't going to like it. The owners want it. And that's where the fighting's going to happen. We'll see how it all ends up. I'll talk about some of those things and some of the kind of back and forth angles that I see here, and my opinions on some of those things. We'll do that right after this break.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned into what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home, because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise, because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity, because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
Hey, what's happening, people? It is Benny Heiss, KCSN betting analyst. And while the Chiefs may not be in the playoffs, that doesn't mean there is not plenty of action to go around for the rest of you that are still crazy fans of the National Football League. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, it makes every playoff moment feel bigger. So whether you're looking at individual matchups in the wild card, or for a possible Super Bowl matchup, or for futures come postseason time, DraftKings has your back, and they also have your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop goes down at any point in the first half, guess what? You can still get paid in cash. What an opportunity. What a way to be able to enjoy the playoffs and not worry about anybody that you include in those props going down, especially early on, and ruining the rest of all of your legs. So here's what you do. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the code KCSN, that is code KCSN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Remember, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. You must be 21 plus in most states. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Sure, like, rate, subscribe, review, everybody. I appreciate You guys listening to my stream of consciousness here on a Friday afternoon, because that's basically what this is. All right, so salary cap. That's the big conversation now. And not just salary cap, but potentially salary floor. That I think that would solve a lot more ills. And I think that is actually kind of the happy medium to the way I view it. Of I don't care if teams want to spend all that. I would just prefer that teams actually spend the money. And that's a tricky spot to be. Because I don't think spending money correlates to winning championships. Exhibit A, the Mets. I do think it correlates to winning games, though. Like, you spend money, you invest in your roster, you are going to win ball games. The Royals in 2024 are a great example of that. They added Seth Lugo and Michael Wacha, Hunter Renfroe. I know that sounds funny, but still. They invested in their roster. And they give Bobby O Jr. that big contract. And they won. They won 86 games. They won. It was a 30-win improvement. And they made the playoffs. Right? Like that sort of, that matters. I think the Dodgers have kind of threaded that needle. I think they were a great organization before they started doing all this, just firing the money cannon year after year. But now that they're doing it, they're putting the best team on the field and they're winning. Right? Like, it's a decent model. And it's easy to do when you have the best, you have an ownership group that doesn't care about spending. You have probably the best TV deal in the league. Not even probably, it is. Because they were able to negotiate it on their own outside of Major League Baseball because the previous ownership group had to file for bankruptcy. And that was kind of a concession by Major League Baseball. It was like, you guys can negotiate this on your own. And now they make, I've seen the numbers thrown around, but it's like $84 million a year from this TV deal with Sportsnet LA. It's better than the Yes Network. It's better than SNY. It's better than the Cubs, which are, on their own. The Turner, deal with the Braves forever. Like, the Dodgers haven't made. Like, it's a perfect storm of they're a great baseball team. They have an ownership group that can do all of those things, that doesn't care about paying the luxury tax. Screw it, we'll just go win anyway. And they have this awesome TV deal that helps drive all that revenue right back into the team. And just because that's a perfect storm does not mean that we should just sit idly by, and Major League Baseball sit idly by and let this continue. Because clearly there are issues. And we have to find a way to make there be more competitive balance. I think parity is a different way to describe it, but I think competitive balance is the better way to describe it. Because baseball has more parity than just about any other sport, right? Like, there's a reason why it took 25 years for a team to repeat, right? There hadn't not been a repeat champion since the 98, 99, 2000 Yankees until the Dodgers did it this past year, and it took them until the 7th game in the 12th inning to finally do it. Those great Astros teams, they won. They were kind of a little mini dynasty in the 2010s and early 2020s. They won 3, but they won them, apart. Or they won 2, I guess. They won 2, but they went to a bunch of championship series in a row. The Braves never turned into one when it kind of looked like they won the one and they might continue this. The Dodgers were right there for a while. The Red Sox won 4, but it was split up 04, 07, 13, 18. The Royals got to back-to-back. The Giants won 3 in 4 or 5 years, but no back-to-back because it is really hard to sustain over 162 games the ability to find a way every single year. Like, it is hard to do that. There's a reason why. The Dodgers are making it look easy because they have all these great players, but nothing is guaranteed. I might pick the Dodgers to win the World Series this year, but I don't know. It's a long season. Shit can get weird, fluky, injuries, guys on the backside of their career maybe taking a dip. Like, who knows? But I don't think that this is going to solve everything. Like, I think the Dodgers are still going to be really good with a salary cap. Even if it means they have to shed some payroll. Like, they're a really good organization. They're probably going to do what the Eagles do, which is we're going to load up. We're going to throw a bunch of void years and deferments on this stuff and just go win, and we'll deal with that bill down the line. That bill's going to come due, but we'll deal with it later. Like, the best teams find ways to not circumvent, but find the loopholes and the ways around salary cap. The Chiefs have done it, with restructuring and team, restructuring deals and finding, turning like roster bonus into a signing bonus to make it 30 million less on the salary cap and stuff like that. Like all that stuff is still going to go down, and other teams will be able to do it, but the best teams are going to find a way to do it better than other teams. And here's the other part of it, because I think it's interesting that this gives every team a fair shot. I don't think that is flawed logic, because does anyone really believe that the salary cap is going to make the Pirates more competitive? The Rockies, the White Sox. I think the A's have a bunch of young players, but like the A's in that ownership group, I don't trust it. Those teams are still going to be bad. Just like we have bad teams every year in the NFL. The Browns, the Jets, the Dolphins, the Raiders. The dysfunctional organizations and the bad ownership groups are going to stay bad no matter what the economic system is. So there's kind of the counter to it. Like, I don't think the salary cap is going to solve everything. It may solve some things. Like, it actually would benefit the Royals, I think. Because I do believe John Sherman is a good owner. I think he's done a good job. Got to get the stadium stuff figured out. Conversation for another day. But he's invested in the team. Clearly wants to win. And it's kind of backed it up with that, when it comes to giving maybe not huge free agent contracts, but investing in like Bobby and Michael and backing up the truck for Seth Lugo and Michael Walker, bringing those guys back and not just giving them 1-2 year deals and then see you on your way. Like, continue to invest in that, investing in research and development and scouting. We've seen an uptick in some of the farm system stuff with from a talent identification perspective because of that investment. I think the front office has done a great job. I think JJ Piccolo is a very good general manager and has proven that over the last couple of years between free agent moves and trades to help make this team better. The Royals are going to benefit from something like this because it does allow them to level up a little bit. And I think Texas is going to fall into that category. I think Seattle, even though they have Nintendo and all that, they were able to spend some money. Kind of lost in this is they gave Josh Naylor a pretty decent contract. They really haven't spent a lot in free agency the last few years. So bit of an investment there. But there are going to be organizations that benefit from this. And there are going to be organizations that don't because they're poorly run. And we'll see how it all ends up. What I'm going to say is, and there's just no, it's going to get ugly, I guess is the way to put it. Not like during the season. It's going to get talked about a lot, just like it was talked about a lot in the 2021 season, before the lockout, before 2022. The fighting's kind of already started last year when Rob Manfred, apparently, he's going around to all these clubhouses to talk about salary cap, and Bryce Harper basically saying to him, tell him, get the F out of our clubhouse if this is what you're going to talk about. Like, this is not something the players want. Right, like it limits their earning power, and I know there are going to be people out there like I'm not out here shedding tears for millionaires. I'm not, but these guys have earned the right to make this money because they're very good at their sport, and the revenue allows it, and that's what the market shows, and that's what the market reflects. You're going to depress that. There's got to be some concessions that decide. I don't know what that looks like. Maybe it's earlier free agency. Less arbitration years, or maybe the clock starts from the time you're drafted and you go from there. It's going to be really interesting to see what the concession is on the other side that allows players that earning power. Because holding on to a guy's rights for 10 years, if you draft them out of high school, they're in the minor leagues for 4 years, and then you have 6 years of, like, that's not going to go over well. And then you're going to limit their earning power and free agency on the other side of it. I don't know. There's going to be a lot to this because the owners want a salary cap so they don't have to give out these $500 million contracts, right? What I do think is interesting is I know that they talk about a salary floor. I'm just telling folks, as great as that idea sounds in theory, and that would be one I would be in favor of, that's not going to happen. That will never happen. Because these guys, billionaires, are not going to be told how to spend their money. They don't want to be forced to be told how to spend. Because they didn't make billions by spending a shit ton. Maybe that's ignorant. I don't know. But I'm just telling you that is not going to go over well. And it will not happen. It will be a cap purely. There will not be a floor. And there are going to be teams. Pirates, Marlins, A's, that are not going to spend to the cap. There's going to be a whole bunch underneath. Because why would they need to? They're making money anyways. Especially the Rockies. Like, the Rockies are the only draw in Colorado during the summer. You know, the Nuggets kind of, the Avalanche, but like, people go to Rockies games no matter how bad they are. And they make money hand over fist, and they don't spend it, because why would they? It's going to be really interesting how this all plays out. And I'm just going to tell you, like, I'm just going to enjoy the hell out of this baseball season, regardless of wins, losses, all that stuff when it comes to the Royals, or any of it. Like, I'm going to watch probably more games than I have ever. And I watch a lot of baseball. I watch games the time I go to bed, or from the time, the East Coast games start, watch the Royals, and then I throw on the West Coast games until I fall asleep. Like, that's me most every night. That's going to be me probably jumped up to 12 this year. Because we don't know what this is going to look like after 2026. Because the day free agency starts is when the owners are going to lock the players out. The owners and Rob Manfred. Let me throw him in there too. Because he's doing the bidding of ownership. They're going to lock the players out, and they're going to try and force their hand into a salary cap and everything else. And then it's a matter of what are they willing to give up to the players. And I think that could drag out and get pretty damn ugly. And I think it could mean we don't have baseball in 2027 because of it. And I don't know what 2028 will look like. Like, how jaded will fans be? Will people come back to us? Will people just leave it forever and be like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to go watch football because I can follow that 24/7, 365 and move on. I don't know what it's going to look like. I think missing a year would be devastating, especially with all the momentum baseball has gotten, because I understand that. And Colin Cowherd says something about it, like, well, ratings are up. I'm like, yeah, ratings don't correlate to being good for the sport. But I do agree that, like, over the last 3 to 4 years, with some of the rule changes that have been put in place, the way that I think they've handled, like, the pitch clock and, limiting shifts and doing some of these things around the game, I do think it has made for a better product, and people are paying attention more, as much as you can for a 162-game season. And I think that's been great for the sport. The momentum that it's gotten, there's so much young talent in the game that is captivating. You're going to lose out on a year of prime for those guys. Like, we potentially could miss a year of Bobby Witt Jr.'s prime. We could miss one of the last years of Shohei Ohtani's prime. We could miss one of the last really good years of Mike Trout. Juan Soto, on and on. Like, that's, and that as a fan sucks. And I don't know if the salary cap is going to be able to solve all this stuff and make people. I don't think a salary cap is going to make people pay attention to the game. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be. I just want whatever gets me more baseball. Like, if that's what it means, then great. But I know that is going to be a fight from the players, and I'm probably going to side with the players more than anything on this. We'll see. I probably have more thoughts on this too, but they've probably floated away from my brain after, a couple hours when I decided I wanted to do this. I got some of them out there. You guys have any questions, things you guys want to talk about? Shoot me a tweet, comment on YouTube. I'll probably be active in the comment section if this gets enough traction. This can be more that we discuss, as the year goes on, as we kind of get closer to the inevitable, at the end of 2026, and we'll go from there. I have no idea what a baseball podcast is going to look like during a lockout. Jeez. I do want to talk about briefly though, before I get out of here, just to shift topics for a second. And I know it's a little bit of old news, but the fences coming into Kauffman Stadium. I don't have a real hard opinion on it right now. I think it's interesting. That they're doing it 5 seasons before the lease is up with no plan for a new stadium at this time. Found that to be interesting. But I don't know what it's going to mean for the offense or the pitchers. I think it's really cool that the Royals data team put this together and kind of tried to thread the needle of a little bit more offense without being a detriment to our pitchers. I think that's great. I don't know what it's going to mean for the offense until probably like June. Like, I want to see a 35, 40 game sample of, okay, sure, the fences have moved in, so that the park factor from a home run perspective might go up, but how much does it depress the park factor number from doubles and triples and just being a good place to hit because there's so much outfield, there's so much green grass for a ball to fall? So we're not really going to know a lot about it until we start to see games played. Might see some of those long fly balls that are home runs in 28 ballparks and not Kaufman. Those kind of come in a little bit, and we see some of those home runs. Maybe we see a little jump from a guy like Vinny. Maybe it helps out a Jack Caglione, a Salvador Perez, Bobby Witt Jr., and this becomes a more prolific home run hitting team. It's been something that just the Royals don't have a ton of. There's a reason why it took until 2018 for a guy or 2019 to have a 40 homer season as a Royal. Jorge Soler did it, and then Salvi did it. No one's done it since. Salvi did it in, what was that, 2021? No one's done it since. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out from that perspective too. And it'll be fun, I think. Summer months might be really fun because the ball does fly at Kaufman during summer. Now it might really go. And I know it's 10 feet, but that's pretty significant when you think about the difference between a home run and a fly out to the warning track. So we'll see. Thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for listening to some of the stuff I've talked about. I don't know how this is going to come out, frankly, or what you guys think. I have a very kind of fence riding stance on this because I think both sides, there's validity to all of it. And it's just a matter of how badly the owners want it versus how badly the players want other things. And we'll see how it all goes. Because that's the road we're traveling on. Like, this is kind of the Kyle Tucker thing may have been the straw that broke the camel's back when it comes to the public sentiment of, okay, we got to change some stuff. But we still got, this is just the long road to first day of free agency when the lockout occurs. In it, potentially. I say potentially because I want to not speak in absolutes to a thing that happens in mid-November. But I think that's going to do it for right now. You guys should hear from me here in a couple of weeks when we really start to ramp this thing back up. I'm really excited for this season. Like I said, I'm going to enjoy this season more than I probably have at any baseball season in my life. And I got some really fun stuff coming up in spring training to help get ready for the season before we kind of do the 3-episode-a-week thing. And there should be some more stuff coming as well, in addition to those 3 episodes. Not anything finalized yet, but should be some fun stuff. I think that'll do it for today. Talk to you guys later. Have a great one. Talk soon.